Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It is the final race to figure out from our 8 drivers who will be moving on to be in the final 4 to race for a championship at Atlanta. But to get there, they first have to conquer this track at the Michigan International Speedway, where all the looming storylines are finally coming together. As coming into this week, 2 heavy favorites are outside looking in. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, both coming in 5th and 6th in points. Gonna need some amazing days from themselves. Same with James Loveland, Sean Hutstutler. They're practically in must-win scenarios, or they're gonna need a lot of real luck. And all the drivers ahead of them to have poor days, but the drivers that feel confident and comfortable going in to the final 4, all they need to do is have solid runs. Mark Whitley practically just needs to start this race and finish in the top 20. He'll be moving on to our final 4. That of Brandon Colley going to be having to come in. Colley just needs to finish inside of the top 15. Then you got Ethan Smith, John Forbes. Both these drivers close to the cut line, but both need to finish inside of the top 10, and they'll both be feeling very comfortable for themselves. John Forbes more so needs to finish in the top 5, top 3, and he's automatically locked in. But all the scenarios will be shown here tonight, and with me is going to be that of Zach Hall and also Brian Johnson. Going to give you all the calls here tonight. Zach, the pressure's on. This is it. It's make or break if you're going to be racing for a championship.
Yeah, this is it here, Sam, before we head off to Atlanta next week to decide a champion. But tonight we'll decide those final 4 who are going to be battling for that championship. And right now, like you said, Mark Whitley and Brandon Colley, they got to be feeling pretty good. Along with Ethan Smith there, he's pretty close to Brandon Colley, only 2 points back. But, man, John Forbes, Ethan Smith, you got to know, they've come in here tonight, and they've got 2 spots that Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran right there are not too far out of taking those spots. So it's going to be back and forth, I think, all night here. Like you said, I think James Loveland and Sean Hutstutler again in must-win positions. They can do it, though. That's the thing. These are drivers that can get it done. All 8 of these drivers could go out here and get a victory tonight. It's going to be one of those nights where until that checker flag flies, we're not going to know who's in that final 4 till then.
Absolutely not. And we also are going to be having our pit reporter, that of Brian Johnson. Brian, coming into the night, the pressure and a lot of storylines coming in. I mean, you have Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, 2 drivers we were expecting to have great runs and be kind of solidified into our top 4 coming into tonight. But with Vincent Sora being taken out with a poor finish last week at Talladega, same for Danny Cochran, a poor finish for himself. Both those drivers, they're outside looking in. It's going to be a troublesome day for both of them if they want to make it into the final 4.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, there is a lot of pressure with this final cutoff race into the last race of the season. But if you're Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, and John Forbes, I mean, really all you have to do is just do what you've been doing every week. Of course, there is some more anxiety associated with your the amount of success that you're going to have tonight. But all you have to do, and of course it makes it sound easy, but all you have to do is just do what you've been doing. Just go out there, do the best you can. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then, you know, you look back at the rest of the season and been like, okay, well, this is a situation where I could have gained a couple points here, a couple points there. So, you know, there is some pressure and some anxiety to do well tonight. But really, in reality, from behind the wheel perspective, you're just doing the same thing that you've been doing the other weeks.
And they're going to be trying to conquer here at Michigan. And as usual, we have to go down trackside. Brian Johnson gave us a look at how to tackle Michigan International Speedway with Tame the Turns.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tame the Turns. Welcome to Michigan International Speedway. Big track, 2-mile track, very wide, repaved in 2012. So tons of grip, and with the track being so wide, lots of lanes to work with here. Corners banked at 18 degrees, and back in 2014 Jeff Gordon broke the Cup Series qualifying record with an average speed of 206 miles an hour. So this track has lots of potential for speed, but in these trucks we're going to be mainly focusing on momentum. These trucks don't have a whole lot of horsepower, so that's what we're going to be focusing on during this race. coming across the start finish line right here. On the front stretch, you can either stay up or stay low. That kind of depends on what the leader wants to do. Heading into turn 1, and we're going to shoot to being right around that first seam right there. Sometimes we're going to straddle it, sometimes we're going to stay up. Just kind of depends on what the handling of the truck feels at the time. Down the back stretch, you know, it's all about that momentum. So you got to stay tucked up behind the guy in front of you, get that draft. Headed into turn 3, we're going to do the same thing as turn 1. However, I have seen where being down by that yellow line down there, there's a lot of grip down there too. But going through these corners is just about maintaining that momentum. So how do we know if we're doing that? Well, you're going to be listening to that engine RPM. That's kind of your key, you know, proof in the pudding there for your momentum. At that RPM, you start hearing it drop too much, you're not keeping that momentum up. Now, whether we, you know, stay above that seam or decide to straddle it depends on the handling of the truck. Like I said, if the truck feels a little tight, you may want to straddle it. That'll kind of de-wedge the truck a little bit. But if you're feeling a little bit loose, maybe you want to stay above it. But the key here is to put as little wheel into it as possible without hitting the wall, of course, and just making sure that those rear tires don't slip out from under you. Very small adjustments. So if these guys can keep that momentum up, stay out of trouble, and keep an eye on that right front tire, they might have a shot at winning this race.
That was Tame the turns, and saw it there. A lot of full throttle. The drivers are going to be having to work and find all the speed, and it is going to be a fun one here tonight. But Brian, Zach, this is both going to be an interesting race for these drivers. Honestly, it's anyone's race here tonight. You can honestly, as we look at our practice leaderboards currently right now, Trevor Earhart, Sean Hutstetler, John Forbes, GT Irizarry, Danny Cochran, your top 5 currently. But I'll throw it to you first there, Brian. I mean, it really seems like anyone's got a chance here tonight.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, that this isn't too far removed from Daytona or Talladega with these trucks, just the way the aero works and the amount of horsepower that they have. Of course, these practice laps may be skewed a little bit with the draft. Some of these guys may have chosen to go out there and do some qualifying runs, so they were in clean air, and other guys were doing some drafting practice, so they'll be a little quicker. But yeah, I mean, tonight, it's like I said in the Tame the Turns, it's going to be all about momentum to try to get yourself up to the front. You know, being able to use that draft and maintain that momentum in the middle of the corners, you know, block if you have to. You know, it's, you know, not so much of a, like a, you know, a very, I don't want to say, you know, not very skilled, but as far as, you know, doing multiple things at once, the truck's really loose and using the brakes and all that, you know, this is much more, there's more finesse involved at this track. And if you can manage to, you know, stay out of trouble and, of course, take care of the tires and really just kind of do those micro adjustments in the corner with the steering wheel, keeping that momentum up, you can see yourself up at the front pretty easily.
Absolutely. Practice is coming to a close. We're getting ready for qualifying here. But Zach, this is going to be race number 17. 16 races have gotten us to this point to figure out who's going to be racing for a championship. This is it. I mean, for these 8 drivers to figure out who's going to be moving on. No one's officially locked in coming into this race. Even when we go green, it's not going to be until after stage 1 at the end of lap 35 when we're going to know at least maybe one driver that's locked in, which could be this 77 of Mark Whitley. But everyone else, it is up in the air on where you can place yourself in qualifying. This is a great place to start if you qualify up front.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that lap 35 stage is going to be so critical. We've seen how 1 point can make the difference in these cut lines, and 1 point could come back to be the reason why someone moves on and someone doesn't. So I think qualifying here is going to be essential to get in that position that you want to be in early in this race. And it also, this is kind of like taking some what Brian said, it's like a super speedway track, kind of similar to Daytona or Talladega. You want to be out front here, in my opinion, at least early, to set the tone that you don't want to get back into the mix. If you get set back there in the Hornet's Nest around that 15th, the 20th range, that's where a lot of stuff is going to happen, and it could happen up ahead of you, and you can very quickly be involved in it. And we've seen last week how much it played a factor into the points and how much, you know, just a couple incidents taking drivers out of it can switch things up. Vincent Sort goes from the top of the leaderboard all the way to now 5th on that board and having to fight to get his way in. And he's probably been the favorite for this championship. So Man, it's going to be a critical night here at Michigan for drivers like Vincent Sora to perform at his top level to get himself back into that Final Four chance.
Well, we're about to go see first times be put on the board at this 2-mile course of Michigan International Speedway. Brian, before we let you go off and do your in-race and pit road reporting for the night, what are some of your final thoughts before we start going green as times are clicking in?
Well, for these playoff drivers, it's not going to be so much about the position that you're in, but the points associated with that position. So you just have to keep in mind uh, where you are at in the points tonight. If you're Mark Whitley and you're sitting in 15th and it's tough to pass and you don't want to, take any high risks, then just be comfortable where you're at. Same thing for Kali. Those two drivers don't have to do anything too extraordinary. They just have to go out there and pretty much not get wrecked, and they can make it in. For Ethan Smith, pretty comfortable in there. I think it would be useful for him to maybe get some stage points here, but he's looking comfortable as well if he can have a solid finish. But for the other guys, they're gonna have to really micromanage that quick math that they're doing behind the wheel during the race to really kind of pinpoint how many points they have and how many points they need, and hopefully it works out for the drivers who make it through.
That's what we're hoping for. Brian Johnson going to be our pit road reporter for the evening. We'll let you get off to work, Brian. But Zach, times are in. Mark Whitley, top of the board currently with GT Irizarry, Vincent Sora, Ethan Smith, Brandon Colley going to be your top 5 currently on the board as we continue to see drivers trying to finish out their qualifying here. We got 1 minute and 45 seconds to go left in qualifying. But for all these drivers, we note on bonus points, the stage bonus points, so important. Again, only the top 5 get those points. A driver that wins the stage gets 5 points, and it drops down by 1 until you get to 5th, where there's 1 point for 5th position. Other bonus points you can get: leading a lap, 1 bonus point. Most laps led, 3 bonus points. But for our final 8 drivers that are trying to get to our final 4, if they get a win, they're automatically locked in.
Yeah, that's where it can really throw things upside down. If someone like Sean Huffstetter or James Lovewood, they go out there and get a win tonight, it'll really make it hard for someone like Vincent or Danny Cochran to be trying to get through also. So they got to be looking out for that. Anything is possible here tonight at Michigan as we can see how close the lap times are. And I got to say, what a lap time for Mark Whitley. He had something figured out that nobody else did. 700s quicker than the rest of the field there in that top position. And if he gets stage points, especially if he gets those 5 points, he's locked in. He is in good to go zone. He can race really hard to the end of the race and know there's no consequences left for him, and he can take chances around some of these playoff drivers that they might have to back out of. Is Vincent Sorter, he needs every point he can get there. He's qualified right now in that 3rd position. Look at Ethan Smith. He needs to be quickly, or he needs to keep himself in that position also there if he wants to be able to hold on to that 3rd spot in points. Brandon Colley's done a good job, but then I look down at Danny Cochran right now, 10th on the board. He needs stage points, being 9 points back from that cut line. And then John Forbes, he's the driver right above the cut line, 3 points to the good there. He's qualified back in 14th. Those are 2 drivers that need to work their way up and possibly try to challenge for those top 5 positions for those stages points.
This is one of the first times that the drivers are coming into a stage of the playoffs where no one is officially locked in going into the next round. Everyone can mathematically be knocked out with the fact that we've got 28 drivers locked in and ready to go. As we're getting our qualifying results up, big thanks to our qualifying results sponsor, that at Hot Lap Designs. If you're looking to get yourself designs for cars, for that of dirt vehicles, or even for your helmet or suit, they've got you covered at Hot Lap Designs. Go check them out on Instagram, and as well some other sponsors to give big thanks to: Track Racer Refined Gaming. We'll talk more about them later, and as well for Race Car Graveyard. But here is our qualifying results to see who's going to be moving on to the final 4. Getting the pole position is going to be the 77 of Mark Whitley. 2nd, GT Irizarry. Vincent Sora going to be in 3rd place. Ethan Smith in 4th. Brandon Colley, going to be in 5th place with Sean Hutt-Stutler in 6th. Aaron Krolick's going to be in 7th with John McAdams in 8th. Tom Bourne in 9th place. And finishing out your top 10, it's Danny Cochran.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 57 of Thomas Walter there. Followed behind him, it's going to be Gregory Shaw in 12th. 13th is going to be Martin Morales in that 24 machine. 14th is going to go to the 11 of John Forbes, the 4th place man, and that is points here in the playoffs. 5th is going to go to Jesse Thornock. 16th is going to go to Dakota Moniz. 17th is going to be Max Foner. 18th is going to go to Trevor Earhart there. 19th is going to be Carl Poole, and rounding out that top 20 is the 32 of Jonathan Smith.
Then in the 21st position, it's Cody Reed. Austin Halsey's back for his second start of the season, with that of Tyler Dangler going to be in 23rd. Jerry Legrand going to be back. Haven't seen Jerry in this truck in quite a long time. We'll see if the 28's got some speed up front, or if he's going to linger in the back with out of Alexander Light, as well as Joshua Freed, as well as seeing Cody Dorsey and that of Christopher Norris, finishing out your 28 drivers going to be racing here tonight. Trucks are rolling off, and it's time for us to get ready. 75 laps here, Zach, but there is a stage break on lap 35, around halfway for these drivers. And I was talking to them, some of these drivers feel like fuel window is going to be a question mark on if they can save enough fuel to make it all the way to the end of the stage.
Yeah, that was actually something I was starting to question in my brain, trying to do a little bit of calculations here. And you know, that lap 35 stage, I'm thinking they should be good, Sam. I really do here, usually at the full tank of fuel here. You know, I'm thinking they're good, but it will be very close. It's right on the edge of that zone. You know, normally the rule of thumb is anywhere right below 40 is usually what you can do here around Michigan with the full tank. And here, 35, we'll see if they can get it done.
We'll see if they've got it covered, if they're ready to go as everyone is rolling off. Do have one driver, I believe, that is going to be starting on pit road if he logs in. That's going to be John McAdams in the 47, who a lot of turmoil from last week with his odd shuffling. Did get notification that John McAdams, the odd call to come down that hit and made contact with Vincent Sora. There was a little bit of connection issues, and McAdams was reacting to that connection issue, and that's why we saw the wreck that has now put Vincent Sora outside looking in, coming into the night, which 75 laps to figure out who's going to be racing for a championship next week at Atlanta. Pace truck is off. It's time for the Montee Genius 150 at Michigan International Speedway. It's time to go from 8 down to 4, but to get there, we got to go green. And Mark Whitley didn't get the best launch, but he certainly got a great shove from Vincent Sora going down into turn number 1.
Yeah, got a great shove there. That really helped the bad start that he had. GT had really the momentum off that initial roll. Then the 15 to the back bumper, the 77 pushes him forward, and we know Vincent Sora needs every point he can get. He's probably going to try to be going for this lead early in this race. This is going to be a wild one here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very much a pack race here early in the go while they're wide open.
It's going to be super speedway racing tendencies, but with more tire wear to worry about. GTers are able to find space, drop down to 3rd, but he's going to see if he can get the momentum to possibly work with Ethan Smith. And Smith's got to be careful. They're 3 wide now. GT, not a great launch, and now going to be 4 wide back there for 6th place. Got to be careful as the 42 continues to fall back. It is a cluster here, Zach. They're still 4 wide going into turn number 1.
Oh, and then some playoff drivers breathing heavy there is John Forbes right there, all in all that mix. And the one who probably breathed the heaviest there was Ethan Smith and Brandon Colley, who was right beside GT Irizarry there, who got loose on that exit of 4, and he is dropping back. And now we got a battle for the lead down the back straightaway. Also, as Vincent Sora, he looks to take an early lead here in the 15 machine to get those early bonus points.
Mark Whitley gets 1 bonus point. Well, now we'll see if we can give one to that of Vincent Sora. Ethan Smith as well, trying to move forward to get himself a lap lead if possible. But Vincent Sora, a major lap lead there to that of the 15. He needs every point. Now going to be just 3. I mean, that only 2 points off from that of John Forbes. And got to watch out for Mark Whitley because he's going high and going backwards quickly here, Zach. This could be a choice for the 77, but he's now in the danger zone right in the middle of all the chaos.
Yeah, this looks like a tactical play with how much he's slowing down here, but he's definitely right in the middle of it. I mean, there's drivers 3-4 wide almost back here behind him as the field. I mean, you can see it's so stacked up here in Michigan. Everybody's just trying to find a little bit of air and a little bit of draft. As you can see, yeah, Whitley continuously dropping back. He just wanted to lead that lap, it looks like. You know, good call from him here. He's going to save that fast spare early in this stage, but you know, a little surprised with how safe he was to back out there.
And now we're going to be riding on board with that of the 94. Sean Hudstutler comes in 8th in points. The biggest deficit of all the drivers, practically in a must-win scenario for that of Sean Hudstutler. And right now, running in 4th place on the inside. But the outside lane here, a lot more trucks in line. Seeing the straightaway speed and the advantage kicking in for now. And as they're moving forward, I got to say for that of Sean Hudstutler, doing a great job, placing himself in a position where he can try to lead and get at least 1 bonus point for himself, but it is so chaotic behind him as you're seeing GT Irizarry, who fell back, lost practically 10 positions. He's now cracked back into the top 5.
Yeah, he drove right back up into position. This is wild, 2-3 wide there behind him with Shaw. You got Danny Cochran in the middle and up on the high side. I believe that's Tom Borden in the 31 as everybody's trying to get forward here and lead some laps here early in the go. Sam, you got Brandon Colley who led that last lap. He gets a bonus point on his resume now. And now you have Sean Hudstutler here up top in the 94. He's trying to drive to the outside of the 15 here. He's trying to take a lead here and get some bonus points. He's in a must-win scenario there.
Oh, you saw a little bit of a bobble from the purple machine, excuse me. That was the 2 of Danny Cochran. Got to be careful for himself not to be getting himself in trouble. Yes, these trucks have a fast repair, but you do not want to be using your fast repair this early on in the race, only on lap 6. And we saw even last week, I mean, with Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran, both had to use their fast repair so early on that they could not rebound after being involved with another wreck. And there's just so much jostling going on as you see the 2, that of Gregory Shaw working with one another, and these launches and runs that these drivers get out of turn number 2. That's what's really giving the advantage for these drivers to be attacking. But Zach, the tire wear might be a factor to watch out for.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about similar racing to Daytona, Talladega. We're seeing that right now, but as this run goes on, the more spread out they will get. It's going to happen. At some point, the tires start to hit that point where you just can't run side by side. As much as Danny Cochran, aggressive move to the inside of Ethan Smith and John Forbes, 3 playoff contenders right on the line here of the cut. You also got Bourne behind him, and Shaw also, as everybody getting super aggressive here in the opening 7 laps. They know what is on the line, and they're definitely willing to risk it right now.
Ethan Smith and John Forbes both are in a very similar situation where they need to make sure that they're challenging and being up front, but they need to lead a lap at least because of the fact that there is a bonus point for the most laps led, which that you can see that of Brandon Colley, Vincent Sora, both dancing back and forth trying to get that bonus point. And it's not just one bonus point like leading a 1 lap or just leading a couple of laps. If you lead the most laps, that is 3 bonus points. That could easily bump Vincent Sora into the top position if he just leads that more points, which would cause John Forbes to have to finish in front of Vincent Sora.
Yeah, I tell you what, Forbes has been very aggressive. There he goes again to the bottom of GT Irizarry. It's 3 wide down into 3 for the 3rd position. Hudstutler up top in the 94. I tell you what, Forbes has been super aggressive here early in the going. Sam, he's been making moves left and right. He's come from the 14th position. Everybody here now trying to go forward again. This is just what's going to be here for I'd say the next 20 laps also, as the tires will probably take about 30 laps to wear out.
Well, top 4, they decided let's single file out. Everyone else behind, though, going to be stacked up. They're going to be 3 wide once again for that of 8th position. And it is just constant 3 wide racing. And on the inside, no surprise, Gregory Shaw. But Shaw, if anything, I would say just because of how fast these drivers are, how much he's turning in, that tire wear for the 66, he's got to be careful because at some point, we're expecting that inside lane. It might push the 66 up. And if you're 3 wide, danger later in these runs.
Yeah, not only, are you really pushing hard here, trying to stay, really racing hard with everybody here, but you're also in the dirty air, and that does a work on the tires also. When you don't have that front downforce, those tires are more prone to slip and slide on the racetrack, and when you slip and slide on the racetrack, it builds heat, it builds air pressure, and those all equate to bad handling characteristics of these trucks. Up front, Sean Hudstutler has a moment there as he drops low. Him and Ethan Smith make contact here on the back straightaway as it's a huge checkup here with Aaron Kralik and Tom Bourne right behind these 2.
And they got to be extremely careful. Any type of damage, touching the wall, touching on another driver, that's aero, and that could be causing your truck to be having some type of crinkle, which can cause you to basically feel like you've got a parachute behind you, slowing you down. So that of the 00 and the 94, got to be careful with themselves. As you see, the 0.01 of that of Aaron Krolick's going to be trying to go to the inside, and oh boy, Hutzfeller, Tom Bourne, they're squeezed. That's the worst case scenario. Tom Bourne makes it stick on the outside, but Sean Hutzfeller falling back to the clutches of this pack, and that's exactly where you don't want to be, especially with this late into a run. We're 11 laps in, but the tire wear is already starting to show as drivers moving higher and higher into these lanes.
Yeah, all these drivers looking for every little bit of grip and clean air they can possibly get on these race trucks. And man, if you're Tom Bourne, your eyes have got to be definitely wide open there. As he had to go all the way against the wall in 1 and 2 and just drive around the top. That was a great job by him there in the 31. As you can see, this just heavy pack of racing here with the 24 of Martin Morales that are down below, and you got Sean Hutzfeller up in front of this trucker riding on board with him.
And you might be wondering, up front, constantly seen, in the yellow with the spoilers and also with the splitter and on your banner, that is indicating that you are a playoff driver still. And that's how it's going to be easy for us to tell who and where on track these playoff drivers are, as still riding back here and gaining sense. You might be questioning, where is Mark Whitley in the 77? He's dropped all the way back to 26. If anything, Zach just trying to save that fast repair for later on, and also just keeping himself out of trouble so that he's not someone that uses a fast repair early. He's got that for in the later stages. As Sean Hutzfeller's into the wall, up ahead, falling backwards. In worst case scenario, now Dakota Monee's going to be having trouble as well into the wall. We stay green, but heavy contact for a lot of these front runners.
Wow, that is unfortunate contact there for both of those drivers. Don't know how that all started. I believe actually a little contact between Gregory Shaw and the 66 and the 94 of Hutzfeller, who the 5 just got a little bit of a tap there from Thomas Walters. He checks up for the incident, and man, both those drivers heavy collision into the wall. We stay green though.
And also even more contact was given after the fact to that of Sean Hutzfeller once Alexander Light accidentally gave a tap to the rear end of the 94. Sean Hutzfeller in a must-win scenario, practically coming into tonight. He had a very slim mathematical chance to get moved into the Final Four, and he's done it before in other races, but tonight he's going to need a lot of help. Most likely going to go a lap down, if not more, but up front for the lead, it's going to be GT Irizarry, who is going to be trying to make the pass and does make the pass for the lead past that of Brandon Colley, excuse me. But here comes Colley once again. Got to be careful, side by side, right in front of 2 championship contenders.
Yeah, and then you also got Danny Cocker there, the 2. He's worked his way past. Ethan Smith now worked his way up to 5th. Also, is the as they would say, the cream is rising to the top here as they are trying to get themselves up here in position to score points here at this stage at lap 35. We're nearing 20 to go for that stage when they cross the line next time by. Brandon Colley's done a good job to lead a lot of laps here early. Vincent Sora's done a good job to keep himself up front. Brandon Colley's a little bit loose. This is a little close here for racing, guys.
A little bit of a tap, and Colley's now going to go to the outside. Here comes Danny Cochran, who's going to take the advantage here. Oh, just clear enough. It's going to be the 41. Might be a crossover move, but here comes that of Cochran. What a great side drafting move on the 15. He's now going to be side by side for second place.
These guys are getting aggressive here, Sam. I know the 2. He needs every little point he can gain. If he can get the 5 bonus points, that's what Danny Cochran in the 2 is really hoping. And he also wants the lead lap. He has not got to do that yet in this race, as our 3 guys up front have. GTers are not involved in this playoff battle. As you see, he doesn't have the yellow spoilers and banners like Sam pointed out earlier. But he's out here definitely having his best race of the season so far.
Just trying to rebound. What great racing we're seeing up front, as right now it is that of GT Irizarry. Colley's now going to go to the inside, trying to make a pass here on the 41. And then you find yourself with Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Ethan Smith, Tom Bourne going to be your top 6 racing on. But just like that, the swap to the inside. Will there be a crossover move, as it looks like the 1 not able to make the clearance on the slide job move, and Irizarry with the draft from that of Vincent Sora, able to stay side by side going into turn number 3. But we're now 17 laps in, about to be 18 laps in. Got to be careful with the tire wear in the center of the corner. Just you can tell these trucks want to push up, and especially on the exit of the corner, they're trying to get every amount of speed possible. And right now, still side by side as Irizarry leads that lap.
Yeah, you're already leading that lap there. Brandon Colley showing a lot of aggression, though, trying to get out here and lead the most laps, like you pointed out, Sam. Those bonus points could be critical for him, not only if he gets involved in something later in this race. He comes in with a good little cushion, but if he can go out here also and win those 5 points, he could be in a very, very good position in this race where he can relax at the very end. But right now, he's fighting strong.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the only driver for Collie he needs to worry about is Vincent Sora. That difference going to be 11 points. And with the fact that they've both equaled out, it's still 11 points of difference between the 15 and the 1. But Collie comes in second in points. He's got, a decent amount of points over the rest of the drivers behind him. So his risk to reward, really, it's more of I'm trying to lead laps, trying to lead the most, so I don't give those drivers that are outside looking in that advantage of getting those 3 bonus points.
No, you're exactly right. I think he's definitely thinking that. He's saying, I want nobody else to lead this race. Don't give bonus points to them because that just allows them to have a better chance at closing the gap down to him. So I think that's a great strategy that you brought there from him, Sam. But I tell you what, we definitely got some non-playoff guys involved in all this too. Tom Bourne and Aaron Kralick, they broke away here in this top 7 as the top 7 is starting to break away. And who's kind of falling back here, unfortunately, is the 11 of John Forbes. He cannot let this happen here, Sam. He has got to stay in touch with these guys. He needs to go up here and try to get stage points here at the end of 35.
Riding on board with the 31 of Tom Bourne. But yeah, that's the big thing is for John Forbes. He comes in as the 4th driver, the bubble driver that really cannot afford to lose ground. With Vincent Sora leading a lap, Danny Cochran being extremely close to possibly leading a lap here as he's running in 3rd. Those are 2 contenders that we knew coming into tonight. They were going to be heavy favorites to try to win tonight's race, to try to lock themselves in. And for John Forbes, his biggest real pressure is make sure that he can get more points than Ethan Smith, be that 3rd driver points-wise at the end of the day. You will be finding yourself feeling very comfortable just in case someone outside looking in wins here tonight. But as we're riding on board with 31, you can get a sense it's starting to get a lot more hectic side by side for that of the battle for 1st and the battle for 3rd.
Yeah, I think tire wear is starting to kick in now here, Sam. At lap 21, we're starting to see these guys slide up the racetrack on the bottom a little bit more, and that outside line be the almost preferred way to get the pass done here, as you can really just hold that driver down as Brandon Colley in the 2 of Danny Cochran. Really, really hard racing between those 2 here on lap 21. We got a spin in the back here.
It's got Martin Morales spinning around, and it's a cluster of other drivers piling in. Don't believe any other playoff drivers were involved, but we'll have to take a look and make sure on that. But first caution of the day on lap 22 here at Michigan for the Montee Genius 150. 22 laps in, Zach. I'm kind of surprised it was during this time, but like we noted on, the tires were starting to lose a little bit more grip as we take a replay here on what happened to that of Mark Morales. Is going to be on the outside of that of Christopher Norris, and looks like he might have looped it around himself, but we might need another look to see if maybe he got a little bit more help.
Yeah, I think from another angle that I've seen it from, looks like Morales there really hard into the corner trying to clear Cody Reed there. Like we said, that tire wear starting to kick in. I seen the tailpipe flames start to come out in the center of the corner, and that means he was off the throttle as that unburnt fuel was burning off in the tailpipe. So got really tight, slid up in front of Cody Reed, and Cody Reed couldn't check up in time, got into the rear bumper here. As you can see, that shot is, got a little bit of help, but it was just from getting tight and having to check up not to get into Christopher Norris there on his outside.
And here comes Max Foner, gets lifted up. Then Foner, once he gets into the wall, he starts collecting more drivers as gets into the 20. And then also that of Jonathan Smith's going to be getting a little bit of contact there. I think Legren's able to get by, but multiple drivers. It could have been just one incident with one driver, but turns into 5 to 6 involved. And now strategy gets thrown in with the timing of this yellow here, Zach. Stage points so important. Now, who comes in to take tires and who doesn't?
Well, the first to lead him down is the 1 of Brandon Colley there, Sam. From that 4th position, he decides he's coming down. He's going to get tires. He's going for the stage points. I knew this is a good strategy. This is a good strategy to run here for someone like him to try to go out there and get those points. Tom Bourne was also one that hit pit road there also. Looks like most of them all took 4 tires there. So the first group there of, I believe, 6 stayed out. This is going to be tough for those guys here as everybody on the new tires is going to be looking to charge through.
Well, as we're under our first caution and drivers exiting pit road, we'll go down to pit road and talk to that Brian Johnson. Brian, what have you been hearing down there about all the drivers?
Well, before the race, I did get a chance to catch up with our first two drivers outside of the cut line. So Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran. Vincent Sora said he really wants to win the stage. He wants to lead a whole bunch of laps, and obviously, hopefully, he can win the race. And then for Danny Cochran, he thinks he's going to have to win this thing to make it through to the next round. But this caution kind of really threw a big monkey wrench into their strategy. At least Vincent Soares for trying to win the stage here, because listening to the team radio, he didn't really want to use a set of tires this early. He wants to save those for the end of the race, but with not taking tires here and a bunch of guys behind him taking tires, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to maintain the lead there, or at least second place, and try to go win the stage.
I think that's the main thing. Thank you, Brian, for giving us that information. Again, Brian Johnson, our pit road reporter here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Also, Robert Warner Jr. running productions here tonight. Pace car lights are off, but Zach, stage points, we knew they were going to be extremely important. That's 5 to 1 point that you can gain for our top 5 at the end of lap 35. Important points, and for our top 7, they're going to be in a very tricky situation, especially for Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Ethan Smith, those 3 drivers. They need those bonus points, and they're going to be on such a deficit coming on this restart.
This is going to be wild to see. I mean, yeah, they're going to be on such a deficit due to the pace here. Brandon Colley, the first car on new tires, those top 7 staying out. Yeah, it's going to be a wild melee here. They're just going to have to try to survive this thing. You're not going to luck out here, I think, and get stage points with still 11 laps to go here in the stage. It's not looking likely for this group. But the biggest thing is survival. Until we get another quick caution, they may be able to pit here and then stay out of the stage.
Race truck lights are off. Luckily, with this caution, that of Sean Hutsteller is going to be back into the mix. He's back on the lead lap. 27 drivers on the lead lap, but our top 7 going to be on older tires. It's the Montee Genius 150 here at Michigan International Speedway. You see the green flag. We are green. GT Irizarry once again a poor start for himself. Here comes that of Danny Cochran on the inside as they head into turn number 1.
Yeah, Danny Cochran there with a good jump. He jumps to the inside of his teammate Vincent Sora there, who had to jump up to the outside line behind the 41 GT Irizarry. Here goes Danny Cochran. He wants to lead a lap. He wants to get that stage win. The stage win's most likely not going to happen with these older tires, but leading a lap here, he's going to need to do it quickly before the tires get up there.
And for the 2, he needs draft help, and it's not helping him at all that Vincent Sora is pushing the 41. And you'd think for teammates, you'd want to help and maybe back off, give some space, try to give an opportunity to the other drivers, but just there's not enough time. You've got to be aggressive, because here comes the 1, ducking all the way down to the apron with John Forbes. They're trying to make a surge to get back up front. That was your one opportunity. Here comes the 1, the 11. They're going to make the pass for the lead here just this lap, as they're going to be flying with this fresh rubber.
Yeah, the fresh rubber, you're going to see it right here riding on board with John Forbes in the 11 machine. He's on the brand new tires. He's pretty much stuck to the back bumper of this one machine of Brandon Colley as they charge forward. They've already got past the 3rd place car there of Brandon Colley. You can see on the straightaways they stall out, but here in the corner, it's quickly going to close down. As we'll see what the leaders do. They cover him up, drops to the bottom. It's getting a little hairy here, Sam.
A blocking move from GT Irizarry, and just like that, Vincent Sora's got to be careful. He gets close to the outside wall, and Brandon Colley's going to be able to make the pass in that of John Forbes, the 11, who needs a bonus point. Now going to be moving up to 2nd place, and they've got to pick and choose as here comes the 0-1. That of Frolic, who also took 4 fresh tires, now making the surge through the corner, and got to be careful of other drivers that have fresh rubber. The next one going to be Legrand, as well as Austin Halsey back in 9th and 10th.
Setting up weird here. Is 3 wide down into 3 there. Kralik trying to take the position from the 2 and the 41 as the older tires try to hang on. The new tires are just too much of an advantage here as they drive on by through the turn 4 here. I tell you what, Sam, this is setting up for an interesting finish to the end of this stage. This is going to change the point scenario all around. And then also coming up at the end of the stage, I think it's going to be close to a fuel window race. It's going to get wild after this all plays out.
And right now, all the drivers in the middle of this pack. Again, we're keeping eyes on this group. Right now, 5th position is being held by Vincent Sora. Sora needs every single point, but he's got to be careful because they've got that of the 28 of Legrand, as well as seeing Halsey. Max Boner's back in the mix. Here comes the 51 diving it low, moving up now into that 9th position.
Oh man, the 51 Max Boner just involved that last incident. He puts on 4 fresh tires after it, and now he feels like Superman. He's driving up here on the inside. 3 wide, Danny Cochran in the middle. Danny Cochran doesn't want to see that as Boner being patient, really patient there. Backs out of the situation even on the older tires here.
You have to see risk being made. And for the drivers that were already in the top 4, they were able to take the risk of taking tires this early on, risking having an extra, when to use their extra set later on in this race. But for all the drivers right here in this cluster, the goal, get to 5th position, push Vincent Sora out. Don't give him that bonus point as Danny Cochran just falls back to now the 10th position. And Zach, what's going to be more concerning is you're not just losing the opportunity of racing and having bonus points for the stage break, but this is also going to be hurting you on your restart after the stage break is done with when you come to pit road and take fuel and tires.
Oh, this is definitely going to be hurting here, Sam. They're losing major track position. This is going to play out now where they're going to be in a tough scenario for the rest of this race to try to make up the ground and make up the points that they've lost here in this stage. Yeah, this right here is real. That caution has really thrown this race into a spiral for a few of our leaders that stayed out there.
Let's continue to watch this group. You see the 2 now dropping all the way back to 13th place. We move up for the battle that's going on for 6th place because you've got a lot of heavy hitters. We're going to be 3 wide currently for this position of 6th place. A little bit of contact, Ethan Smith with Legrand, and is now going to have Max Boner. They're squeezing on one another. You hate to see that type of move, but luckily the 28 decides to back out of it, falls through the middle, but he's got to be careful of the sucker hole because here comes now our winner from last week, Dakota Moniz in the 5. He's on the outside trying to make some big moves.
Big moves being made everywhere here down the back straightaway. You can see tire differences really make passing a thing that we see a lot here happen when the tire differences are into play. But man, there's drivers that are driving up that we haven't seen all night long, like Austin Halsey there in the 4. Cody Reed, he's in 25 there up there. Carl Pullers broke his way up here, almost to the top 12. Drivers really using the advantage of the tires here as we come closer and closer to the end of this stage here. It'll be 3 to go next time by.
Got to give credit to Vincent Sora. Still been holding on for 5th place and trying to get that bonus point again. John Forbes in 2nd. Major bonus points to be grabbed for himself. The 11 could be getting 4 points if they finish where they're at right now. And for Kali, he can get 5 bonus points on top of the lap lead bonus point that he got earlier in the race. As they continue to race on here, Zach coming out of the corner. It's just that of 4 laps to go for these drivers. Pressure's on. Max Boner, fresh tires. Here comes now the 4 of Austin Halsey, and now we can see a possible alliance of the 51 and the 4. They could use a little bit of draft with their fresh rubber to try to make some big moves, and here they come to the inside into turn number 1.
Yeah, this is what you don't want to see if you're Vincent Sora. He was holding on strong there in the 5th position with the older set of tires along with GT Rizar there, and he was in a points position for the stage. Now with Boner taking that position here down the back straightaway with the help of Austin Halsey as he does pull closer to side by side with the 51. Down here in 3, though, I think those new tires are going to be just too much.
Oh, no.
Drivers making big moves here, Sam. This could get a little bit disastrous here if Vincent Sora's involved in any of this.
It was mainly Ethan Smith that I was getting extremely concerned about. The 00 drifted up into Dakota Moniz. Got a little bit of contact on the right side of the 00, but it doesn't look like that's going to be a race-ending incident. 2 laps to go to the end of stage 1. Top 5 get bonus points, and Max Boner just now trying to make the pass for himself, and now we're starting to see the little bit of side drafting. Drafting on the side, on the front stretch and the back stretch. Key factors going into these corners. Max Boner's going to have the advantage on the corner, but here comes Halsey, forcing it 3 wide. Going to be back for 6th place.
Oh, and Max Boner backs out. A great decision from him there. That could have really got bad. There's Cody Reed. They're just squeezing on each other here for 3 wide. Man, Sora slides up, and they're wrecking behind him. This is what they don't want to see happen here. There's a car going backwards. We're staying green, though.
They're all wrecked through the grass. They continue to stay straight. No yellow comes out. We're on the white flag at stage number 1. It's Kali, Forbes, as well as Kralik, Irizarry, and now it's going to be that of Vincent Sora with Dakota Montee. He's going to be trying to make a pass. He's got one more opportunity, fades back, the 5 gets loose, and now it looks like Vincent Sora should be good to keep that 5th place position, that 1 bonus point to keep him alive. But at a turn number 4, it's going to be Brandon Colley, John Forbes keeping themselves drafting away from the field, and for the 1 and the 11, massive points for that of the driver that is 4th in points coming into tonight, and also for the driver that was 2nd in points coming into tonight. Major victory for themselves coming out of turn number 4, though Vincent Sora does get 5th place.
And that's a huge moment for the 15, because right there, that's going to be 2 bonus points. He's already set up for himself with leading a lap and that 1 there, because John Forbes now with that 2nd place finish, that's 4 to his. So now Vincent's going to have to make up 5, I believe, points on John Forbes if he wants to go forward. But he did make up at least 2 points there on Ethan Smith.
Yeah, doing a quick calculation of where the drivers are at. Yeah, I believe it will be back to that. Doing a quick math here. Yeah, it's going to be 5 points is going to be the difference between Vincent Sora, John Forbes, which then also makes Danny Cochran not getting any bonus points for himself and leading a lap here tonight just yet. Loveland not even here. His chances are not going to be shown. Sean Hutstetler was on older tires. He never had really a chance to get up into a fighting opportunity, but did get up to 11th. This is major for all those drivers. Points, we're going to calculate them throughout the night. We'll try to keep you updated throughout the night, but stage 1 is done. And now it's time for these drivers to go into pit road. When we come back, we'll tell you where the drivers lie, who took tires, who didn't. We'll find it all out here in just a few moments on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Base truck pulls off. It's the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It's the Montee Genius 150 at Michigan. Your front two did not take tires on this pit stop. Everyone else did, as we are green, and we're going to be taking it to the end of the race. The drama is up. We've got 8 drivers. Who's going to be in the final 4? We'll find out after tonight, but it's going to be that of Kralik, Pooler, Forbes, that of Martin Morales is going to be your top 5 as they head exiting out of turn number 2.
Yeah, Brandon Colley in a good spot. Didn't take tires, so he'll be definitely quickly, dropping back here through the field. But, man, he did a great job there to get that stage win. He's led the most laps tonight. So right now, as the way it sits, he would be sitting with 9 extra bonus points. But he's going to make contact with Aaron Kralik here. This is major.
Oh, boy.
Pooler almost loses it, too.
Pooler gets loose. Bourne gets loose. It is chaotic. They're 4 wide, almost 5 wide ahead of Pooler as we were riding on board with the 71. And now everyone's got to cycle through, get a little bit more calm down. Tom Bourne just backs out of it. The 31 doesn't even want to stay 3 wide as up front. Top 3, they're still racing on. John Forbes going to be taking the lead position and led that last lap. Major bonus point for the 11. It just makes the gap even bigger for Vincent Sora than he needs to have over the 11. But in the middle of the field, you'll find there's Ethan Smith, also Danny Cochran. Drivers that need to get up front and start getting bonus points now.
Yeah, they need to get bonus points. That's it. Vincent Sora, the points that John Forbes is gaining on him right now is concerning for his sake. But if he goes out here and wins it, it doesn't matter. Remember, win and anything, you're into this thing. As we're right here along with Danny Cochran. He's 3 wide in the middle. It's getting wild right now.
And you can see, looking back at the quarter panel, it is still a mosh pit of cars and trucks behind. They're 4 wide, even behind them, battling for 14th position as they're still 3 wide. You see the 00 trying to get by the 41, getting pinched. They're bobbling. There's a little bit of jostling. Got to be careful not to turn into a pinball machine coming through these corners, but that's practically what the middle driver becomes. And also further ahead, trying to rebound is the 94 of Sean Hutzfeller. He's done a great job here, Zach. But I gotta say, a little concerned as he's one of our only playoff drivers that has already used a fast repair.
Yeah, and with how crazy and wild we've seen this race be so far, you might want to have one of those left here. As you can see, the action is not cooling off. Ethan Smith here in the middle, 3 wide. GT Azari, the 41 there, one of the top runners in the early going of this race. He's trying to get his way back up there. The 24 Morales slides back as Halsey slides forward in the 4.
And, Irizarry's already proven. He can fall back. He can lose time. He can get back up front very easily on how aggressive he wants to be. But that's the key. How aggressive do you want to be this early on? Zach, we were trying to do calculations for fuel. We were doing it. You were doing it yourself. It's going to be very close for the majority of these drivers if they can make it to the end of this race without making a green flag pit stop. But that's if we stay green.
Yeah, that's if we stay green. That's a big if for sure with how the race is going on right now. But yeah, if we were able to stay green, the drivers that would be sitting in that best position, it'd be Thomas Walter in the 57, along with Max Foner there in the 51. Those two topped off there on lap 39. So they're going to be looking at a 36 lap distance there to the end, which in my calculations should be good for them to go to the end full bore, while the rest of this field, I think they might have to save at least a lap, maybe a lap and a half here if they want to make it to the end of this race green.
And the ways to save fuel, stay in the draft, stay behind another driver, and don't make too abrasive of moves. But up front, try and take the lead position. Vincent Sora was able to get it back, but here comes that of Danny Cochran. Did not lead that last lap, trying to lead this one. That's one bonus point that we got to see the 2 get, as he's going to have a mountain to climb now if he wants to move on. Practically 5th back to 8th in points, that being Danny Cochran, James Loveland, Sean Hutzfeller. They're all in must-wins. Loveland never even showed up here tonight. It's Danny Cochran and Sean Hutzfeller. They're in must-win scenarios, and it makes sense why they're getting so aggressive right now.
No, it definitely does. It was John Forbes has a little moment there, gets a little sideways there off the corner. That's going to allow them to get 3 wide here on the exit of the corner here as they go down the front straightaway. And it's wild racing continuing on. But again, yeah, Danny Cochran needed those bonus points there, Sam. I think he's going to need more than that, though. I think he has to win. If you think you're Vincent Sora, also, that's his teammate. You think he'd help him down to the end. But I think these two, they're going to have to race each other down to the end. Because if Danny Cochran was to win this race, I think Vincent Sora's out of this up and around.
What in the wall and up into the sky goes the 94, and in a blink of an eye, Sean Hutzfeller's last chances of making it into the final 4 snuffed out in an instant. Sean Hutzfeller went airborne, and in a just like that, Zach, any fuel strategies that we were kind of concerned about, they're now gone. Just like how Sean Hutzstutler's chances of a Final Four championship run are done as well.
Oh no, here's we go back on the instant replay here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and you're going to see the 94. Oh, here's the in collision of it as he's already flown through the air and multiple cars involved. And I tell you what, also the biggest one involved in that, Sam, John Forbes in the 11. Major damage on him. He's going to have to most likely be taking a fast repair with that engine smoking.
Also, we saw the one trying to get by of Collie. Collie's going to be another driver. I'm trying to see if he's got any damage. Doesn't look like he does. But again, I mean, these are major hits, just wrong bump, wrong time. And for John Forbes, that is gotta be crazy to think. I mean, watching the 11 though, this is you're racing hard. You're trying not to be involved in this thing as we're running on board with the 94 who goes into the catch fence, and luckily no one else involved. But John Forbes, you know, credit to him keeping the 11 up to the wall when he easily could have came down and taken out more drivers if he had bounced off wrong. But Zach, this now puts the opportunity for some drivers that maybe didn't take tires on that first stage break. They now could take one here and be in a little bit of a more better spot. While most of the field, they're going to be taking just fuel.
Yeah, I think a lot of the field will be taking just fuel, maybe just some right side tire changes, also maybe some left side tire changes. Well, let's see. I think it'll be a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think the aggressive strategy here would be to go ahead and take that next set. If you didn't take one early to go in like Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, GT Rosari, I'd be taking that set now. Brandon Colley also, he didn't take a set there at the stage. I'd be taking that set now here that you saved. Then you're going to have that one set here at the end of the race. If we get another caution, that you'll be able to decide if you want to come back down because fuel no longer an issue.
Well, Zach, officially coming into this race, we knew if Loveland had shown up and we knew if Sean Hutzstutler had shown up, they were going to be the drivers that were going to have to win with the big deficit that they had over the drivers that have been so consistent up front. Both of their days are done, which is now transitioned to practically just 6 drivers, 4 positions left, who are going to be the 2 that will not be moving on to race for a championship. It's going to be hard-pressed for a lot of these drivers, but because we're under our third caution of the day, gives us time to talk about some of our sponsors. Start things off with ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing if you're trying to get yourself a Gamer 2. If you haven't been watching our broadcasts, we've talked about this a lot. The Gamer 2, a system that vibrates and makes you feel the sounds instead of just hearing them. And if you'd like to get one of those for your racing rig, it's just a plug-and-go system, and it will work perfectly for you with videos, racing simulators, or any other games that you're playing. Get yourself a Gamer 2 with promo code FreakyFast20 when you are purchasing from ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing as well. Advanced Sim Racing. It is the hub to get yourself set up with all types of racing chassis, with sim chassis, as well as just a retail store for sim products, steering wheels, monitors. Trying to get yourself set up with a racing rig, go to Advanced Sim Racing. Use the promo code FreakyFast5 for 5% off there. And as well, we didn't talk about them during our intro because there was so much to talk about, but also that at Race Car Graveyard, if you're looking to get yourself diecast in the 1/24th to 1/64th ratios of diecast, go to Race Car Graveyard to get yourself diecast there. And as well, if you use the promo code RCGY, you can get yourself a percentage off there. Go look up Race Car Graveyard on Instagram for more information, and as well, Track Racer Refined Gaming if you're trying to get yourself set up with any type of racing rig, starting, finishing. They've got the best products for you. Go to Track Racer. They've also got themselves monitors and steering wheels if you're looking for those. We're stacked up, ready to go, and it is going to be Austin Halsey, Cody Reed, Mark Morales, Gregory Shaw, and Thomas Walter is going to be your top 5 with Dakota Moniz, Max Foner, Carl Pooler, that Christopher Norris, and also Alexander Light going to be your top 10. And then we start to find drivers that came into pit road to get tires all the way back to 11th is Aaron Kralik. Everyone else, they took 4 tires, a little bit of damage repair, but we are green. Once again, it's the Montee Genius 150 at Michigan International Speedway. Austin Halsey, second start of the season here, Zach, and right now leading as they're about to be 3 wide for second place going into turn number 1.
Aggression already again here being shown on this restart as everybody dives down here 3 wide. That's going to be Gregory Shaw on the bottom of the 66. Morales in the middle. Reed up top in the 25. You got Foner here along with the 38 of Norris and Pooler there racing 3 wide also behind this. And you're going to see a mixed bag of strategies. Some guys who did take tires, some guys who did. And you're going to see the tires really trying to charge up through here.
A lot of drivers went with aggression on this, on when they were going to come into pit road. You see the 2, Danny Cochran, currently making some hard moves for himself in the 2 machine, but he's got to be careful because if he gets too aggressive, because these are drivers that usually are racing for that 15th to 20th position, those drivers are one of the more aggressive than I would say some of the leaders can be. So you got to be careful placing yourself in a tricky situation where you do not want to get yourself any type of damage, even though you do for the 2 still have a fast repair in your back pocket.
Yeah, still got that fast repair, but you don't want to be set back there, like you said, with the track position. So right now they're trying to work their way through as cautiously and as aggressively and as quickly as possible. You can see the stack ups here. Everybody trying to make positions as Vincent Sword doing everything his powers. Call, pull, almost a big moment down into the 15.
Oh, no.
This checks everything up. Forbes, who was just involved in a major wreck here on the front straightaway.
Forward. Also, Ethan Smith able to get on the brakes to get by. Colley was able to get by, but it's the major damage to John Forbes, who had just used a fast repair, damaged. And luckily, he's got the 5 bonus points that he got in the first stage, but those points might not be even useful with how many drivers are still left in this race. Zach, this is demoralizing. You see the damage on the 00. Another one of our cutoff drivers. This changes everything. With Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora running up front and out of the way of that damage, this changes everything.
I thought Brandon Colley scathed through there clean also too, but he is destroyed also. Major
Engine's gone.
Going to have to take a fast repair, Sam. This, oh man, back-to-back wrecks here that have changed the whole complexion of these playoffs. We're going to see what happened here, man.
As you see, jostling going on, Forbes and I believe that's GT Rosari make contact and then bounce him outside. Then they come back together. And these are those wrecks when, you know, the big one we talk about usually at Talladega, or even as you see the one just nowhere to go on the inside. That's where the engine damage came from. And oh man, you hate to see a wreck like that, especially with how much importance was into this race. But for Ethan Smith, John Forbes, the fact that Colley is going to be forced to use a fast repair, this race isn't over for them. But now you got to feel a little bit gutted for Sean Hudstutler that, you know, with all the damage that's going on, he might still have had a shot if his race and car was still running here tonight as drivers getting reset. Man, Zach, I mean, this changes so much. This gives now a lot of life to call for that of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora, as both of them are still outside looking in even at this point.
Man, this has changed everything. Those 2 have yet to use a fast repair, so they do have that in their back pocket for the big picture here for themselves. So if something was to happen to them, they would at least have something to come back from. John Forbes, he's in the worst position of all. That thing is destroyed on the front end. He's got to come there and continuously get work on that. Looks like Ethan Smith there. We'll see if he has a fast repair. I don't think he used one earlier, Sam.
No, he still has it.
Yes, I feel like he's still in a good spot here. You know, didn't get stage points, hasn't led a lap tonight, so hasn't got the bonus points. But he's just got to be thinking about staying ahead of the 2 of Danny Cochran now. Vincent Sora now actually in a pretty good spot, but if Danny Cochran wins it, then it slides it all back into a weird position. So, man, tonight here at Michigan, this is the beauty of these elimination style playoffs. And when I saw it on the schedule, I saw Talladega and Michigan back-to-back for the final round decider. I thought these guys are crazy. I was like, well, they're helping out the broadcast for sure, and they're probably frustrating some drivers because this racing right here, it's so tough, and anything can happen at any moment. And we've seen tonight, you're never safe at any moment at this place. It's pack racing. It's like Daytona and Talladega.
Oh my goodness, Zach. John Forbes, he is just sitting. He's waiting. He's still waiting for now to get going. The 11 is he's going to be a long time before he gets back out there on track. He could be multiple laps down. He's going to need other drivers to have issues. Ethan Smith doesn't have any bonus points, and oh man, this is certainly got to be careful for a lot of these drivers on where you want to place themselves, because it just changes everything on where the driver is going to be placed. And it's so difficult to now calculate what drivers are going to be feeling, because for John Forbes, he had such a great, first stage. You thought he was going to be all right. He's now going to be getting back out on track, but for the 11, luckily you got those 5 bonus points from leading a lap and then also finishing second at the stage. So those points are going to be very useful for himself. I think for Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, they're hoping for poor days for, Forbes, Smith, for Colley, but they also don't want to see other drivers be wrecked out and not be able to finish because they need every single point possible to move on to the next round.
Oh no, you're exactly right. I mean, you need everything. Any little point's going to help. They need the playoff drivers to wreck and the rest of the field to survive. So that's their best bet. John Forbes there, he didn't get a meatball flag. That's good for him. So he didn't have required repair. It was only optional. But I tell you this much, with how much damage he has on that front end, his truck's going to, first of all, be very, very, very slow. But also the fact that he may be having some issues with overheating. That's the one thing I would have to be concerned for him because he doesn't have the fast repair, like we said. If that motor pops, it's night over, and it could be playoffs over.
We would watch and see the damage on the 11, but he's having some internet issues. So, John Forbes, hopefully you get that cleared up and you don't have internet be a reason why you get knocked out of this race. But up front, Austin Halsey, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, Dakota Moniz, Carl Pooler, that of Jerry Legrand, as well as Aaron Kralik, Martin Morales Jr., Mark Whitley, that of Jonathan Smith. Going to be your top 10, getting ready to go green. Fourth caution of the day. Third on-track incident that brought out a yellow here as we got our stage break back on lap 35, but everything has just gone topsy-turvy on who's going to finish where, who makes the final 4. We'll find out here because it is 20 laps to go at that of the Montee Genius 150, and it's Austin Halsey giving us the green as we head into turn number 1.
Let's see right here. The field trying to spread out here and try to get some moves together. As you see Mark Whitley, our pole sitter, who dropped out of this after leading the first lap of the race. He's starting to come forward here and starting to battle. But it's going to be Danny Cochran up front in the 2 machine using his new tires here to get side by side. But Vincent Sora there pushing the 4. He's going to try to push the 4 far enough out there where he can get around the 4 because you got to remember the 4 on older set of tires here. Got to be careful following behind him here in the corner.
Trying to figure out where to pick and choose. It's going to be that of Danny Cochran on the inside. He gets the better launch, and we'll see on the exit of the corner. Will the draft be enough? And Vincent Sora going to drop down. He work with his teammate and everyone else, leaving the 4 all on his lonesome. And again, you noted on it, the 4 are going to be on older tires. Other drivers to watch out for, also the 28 of Legrand, Dakota Moniz, Martin Morales, that are running 4th, 5th, and 6th, also going to be on those older tires. Watch out as they'll be falling back. But up front, it's the teammates, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora. And, Zach, all season long, it is built up. We've seen the teammates of the 2 and the 15 win back and forth, and they were the most winningest team together. But they're now reversed from when we think back all the way back to the beginning of the season, back at Las Vegas when we saw Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran. It was Danny Cochran that moved the 15er away on accident, but could we see a reverse of that here tonight to see which teammate moves on to the final 4? And would you see teammates wreck to see if they can move on and race for a championship?
I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen stuff like this happen before as well. And Lagrange into the wall is right on board the 28. Everybody spreads out and misses them though here. Great job by them. But look how slow the 28 is there with that contact with the 4 machine.
The momentum goes away, automatically saying sorry. We're the drivers that made contact, and they both apologize. But they're wrecking further behind. Contact's going to be made. It's going to be seen. A couple of other drivers involved in this one. Luckily, no playoff drivers. But wow. It's going to be Light, Legrand, Dorsey, Freed, all involved in this one. And just a misjudgment call from drivers coming into turn. It's number that of 4, and it looked like Dorsey and Light both not expecting the slower 28 going into the corner and accidentally made contact.
Yeah, looks like maybe Dorsey might have checked up a little bit, and then Light comes in there and gives him a little bump. So, yeah, we'll have to see here from our view here on the instant replay. But, yeah, that's so unfortunate for a few of those guys there, Sam. Just a lot of damage in Lagrange. He was running great up front. Contact with the 4, slides him back into this mess.
And for all the drivers that were involved, except for Alex Light, going to be involved in this one. And, yeah, it's just trying to avoid the 28 was Dorsey. And like you said, slow down. The 13, so much speed and just such a quick bang type of a moment where the reaction time really wouldn't have mattered as both drivers racing incident, trying to avoid the 28, bringing out our 5th yellow of the night. And man, with this one, pretty quick, but luckily no playoff drivers involved in this one. But Zach, John Forbes still so slow off the pace. This is frustrating for himself, but with the timing of this yellow for drivers that still had a set left of tires, they're coming into pit road, and pit road is busy coming in.
Yeah, it's a busy place here as everybody comes down. A lot of guys coming to get damage repaired, but not only that, but I think a lot of the guys coming down for their possible final stops of this race here. That's going to be the question for a lot of them. Danny Cochran hitting pit road, Vincent Soria in the 15. They're all taking tires here. This will be the last set here, Sam. This is a risk play call here if someone does save a set. But I tell you what, they know with 15 to go here, you're probably not going to be wanting to hit pit road again if there is a caution.
Yeah, the track position is going to be so important at the later stages of this. And we've seen drivers that have, a 5-lap difference on tires still be able to fight quite well with those that just got fresh rubber. So it's not completely over for themselves. Big thing with this caution, though, gives John Forbes an opportunity to get more damage repair on the 11. So maybe he could be a little bit more of a fighting chance, try to gain some positions, as Forbes, once again, all the way back in 25th position. With the points differential, even with the bonus points, he would be outside of our top 4 where the drivers lie currently. So would not like to see that for John Forbes, but this is when playoff racing, and the way that the playoffs are set up, it is a 5-race playoffs. First round, first 2 races, second round, 2 races as well, until we get to the final race at Atlanta, where only 4 drivers lie after starting with 16. So the pressure has always been on for these drivers. They knew it was going to probably be one race and you're out of it. And gosh dang, they put on a show here tonight with a drama got built up last week with Vincent Soria and Danny Cochran having issues. It seems like the luck has kind of switched coming into tonight here, Zach, as we actually go down to pit road. Talk to Brian Johnson real quick before we get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, just a real quick update based off of my calculations. Obviously, we've seen the issues with John Forbes, so that's going to put Vincent in right now. Right now, as they run, I believe Danny would be out. However, we have seen these Cochran Soria Racing guys tonight work well together to be able to get to the front, and usually been 1, 2, and 3. So I would not be surprised to see them back up front with these fresh tires, but they're going to have to be careful. Brandon Colley, he's used his fast repair. Ethan Smith, he's used his fast repair. So those guys, they don't have a mulligan left. But Vincent, Danny Soria, Danny Cochran, Vincent Soria, they still have their fast repairs. So they still have, if they have the time, they can get that truck fixed. So, a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I can't wait to see this thing play out.
You're on the edge of your seat. We're on the edge of ours, Zach. This is going to be a wild restart for these drivers, as we're now 15 laps to go. Going to be 14 when we go green. Martin Morales Jr., Thomas Walter, Ethan Smith, Christopher Norris, Max Foner, Gregory Shaw, that of Colley, Earhart, Reed, Thornton. Going to be your top 10 getting ready to go green here as the pace truck heads off. It's time for us to really get a look at how aggressive a driver's willing to be, or how passive can you be at the early going of this race. But it is green flag. We're green once again for the Montee Genius 150, and it's all the 24 on this restart. But once we get to the backstretch, that's when we're expecting a lot of these big moves to hit.
Yeah, a lot of big moves already being made, too. As Danny Cochran took him 3 wide on the initial start there on Jesse Thornick. He gets by and makes a move up to the bottom lane there. You can see him now coming up on the 99 of Trevor Earhart and Brandon Colley on the older set of tires. He's the first car on the new set, but he's got to be careful here. But he needs to go win this thing. This is a tough situation for him to be in, man.
And also up front, major passes trying to be made as we watch the drivers with fresh tires trying to make their moves. But the 00 of Ethan Smith, he still needs to lead a lap for the 00 and get that bonus point. But he's got to be careful because the hard chargers behind, they're coming with fresh tires.
Look at Christopher Norris. He gets aggressive on the front straight, makes it 3 wide here. Ethan Smith in the sucker hole of the middle. He luckily clears that 24 machine of Martin Morales and clears home. Oh, here goes Colley around.
Colley going to be making contact. Thor, Danny Cochran going to be involved with that one, but the one now dumped into the wall. And you got to be thinking for these drivers, the pressure has been mounting up to this. Colley was not a for sure lock, even with, all the bonus points that he had coming in. And luckily the one's engine's still running, because if his engine was gone, this could have given a complete opportunity for Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran to bump out Forbes and Colley.
Well, Danny Cochran also involved in that too there. Luckily for his sake, he does have a fast repair. He just took his last set. Vincent Sora, I mean, he barely missed it in the 15. This has really shook things up here, Sam. I tell you what, the one Brandon Colley, he's going to have to be getting as much damage fixed as possible on that thing to try to finish as best as he can.
Tyler Dangler is going to be still running with a blown engine in the 19, and he'll be staying out. But you'll see on the inside, the 99, Trevor Earhart's going to be trying to make a move, and it just doesn't stick. The 99, just too much speed comes up. Shaw with the win gets him loose, and simultaneously you see the one get contact, and they both just drift up into Cody Reed, and you're in the middle of the pack. You're stuck here, bound to be making some contact of some sorts. You see Halsey just plow right into the 2, and Mark Whitley just being a sly dog, slipping right through.
Yeah, man, Mark really did a great job. So did Tom Borden there, getting through in the 31, and a lot of guys barely making it through. Unfortunate for Danny Cochran, though, major damage. So the same to Austin Halsey. They're probably going to be looking to take their fast repairs. The big question, though, it's got to be Brandon Colley. How much, repair is there on that truck? We're going to have to find out here. This is looking very, very tough for that one machine. But for his sake, though, the 11 of Forbes is right behind him there. But, man, if Danny Cochran goes and win this, that really changes a lot of stuff, because then Ethan Smith's going to be looking to jump ahead of possibly Brandon Colley.
And we were wondering on who's going to be using their fast repair or not. It looks like the 2 of that of Danny Cochran will be using his fast repair coming into pit road. John Forbes got to be careful with his internet if he's going to be still connected or not, as more damage repairs for the 11 machine. Colley trying to get his damage repair before going a lap down. This is demoralizing, and we thought Tom Bourne slipped out. He was not able to slip out and was actually caught up in that incident. 32 is going to be calling it a night. Same for that of Tyler Dangler possibly here, but he's still waiting for damage repairs. Those are positions that are being taken away, and that is great news for Colley. Brandon Colley needs to have at least just 20, be in 20th position with his bonus points, and he should be good to move on into the next round. But that's if there's enough drivers, and if the one is still able to drive, as required time could be an issue for some of these drivers, as we're going to be coming up to 10 laps to go when they come across the line again. It's going to be less than 10 laps to go here, Zach, when we go green. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to have another caution come out again, which is worse news for the drivers that are still racing, mainly Danny Cochran, if we have another caution.
Yeah, man, Danny Cochran, he is going to need to possibly still go up here and win this race. Man, everything's been turned so upside down here, Sam. Even not only just with the drivers up front in the overall picture of this race, but just the overall picture of these playoffs, man. I'm usually able to calculate these things pretty well out and judge, where we're at. But right now, it's anybody's game. There's really the only person that can feel safe is Mark Whitley. He's probably, smiling, saying, "Man, these guys got to be stressing here tonight for sure already."
I mean, when we saw Mark Whitley be up front, lead the first lap, and then just say deuces, go up to the high line, and just drop back to last place, we knew he was feeling comfortable and confident, and knew he just wanted to keep himself out of trouble, and he would have been still racing. Mark Whitley, that of Vincent Sora, are going to be the only drivers that are still racing on track of our playoff drivers that still has a fast repair left. So the 77-15, they still feel pretty confident and comfortable for themselves. Ethan Smith, still on those slightly older tires in 4th place. We'll see how well the 00 can attack here. But it's Thomas Walter, Christopher Norris, Max Foner, Ethan Smith, Vincent Sora, Cody Reed, Eric Kralik, that of Legrand, Irizarry, Mark Whitley, going to be your top 10, getting ready to go green here for the Montee Genius 150 at Michigan International Speedway. Big thanks to all the sponsors that get us to where we're at now at Racecar, at that of Racecar, Graveyard, Track Racer, Hot Lap Designs, ButtKicker, and Advanced Sim Racing. Thank you to all those amazing sponsors. But it is time to see who's racing for a championship, as we are green. Tire spin for the 38, and that is worse news for the 00. They continue to be banged. Vincent Sora gets some contact, almost at the outside wall. Zach, the chaos isn't over yet.
Oh, it's definitely not over, Sam. Until this checker flag flies, we're not going to know what is going to happen, man. Anything is around the corner here at Michigan as these guys are getting super aggressive again. Irizarry to the bottom here, 3 wide between LaGrange and the 15 of Sora, who's going to be pushing the 25 of Reed down the back straightaway here. Got to be careful, though. Some new tires mixed in with the old tires here. Drivers got to be thinking big picture like Vincent Sora here in the 15.
Vincent Sora is going to be trapped on the outside with the drivers that are on older tires, and now on the inside, you see GT Irizarry makes some moves. Here comes Mark Whitley. We're going to be 3 wide, 2 rows deep, but Sora says, you know what, we're going to poke it through the middle. We don't want to be stuck where we're at. Following the 25, maybe we'll go in a different opportunity and a different pass as Christopher Norris trying to lead. The 38 is your leader now as that of Mark Whitley tries to make a cross. That Thomas Walter trying to make the pass as 77 follows behind the 15, trying to crack into the top 5.
Well, I tell you, we look for the battle up front. It's Walter and Norris, and then Foner coming into the picture. The 2 teammates there in between with Norris. And I tell you what, Foner, big move there. He gets really loose. There's a lot of speed checkup as this is going to create an interesting moment here. We're 3 wide behind there. Cody Reed, Vincent Sora, and Mark Whitley. Everybody getting checked up, but the battle for the lead still raring on.
It is still rearing on, and here comes the 2, diving it low. Danny Cochran, who's all the way back in 10th place now, cracking the top 10. They're going to be 4 wide behind this side-by-side battle. Now going to be 3 wide. It is constant action wrapping up in the middle of the pack. They know it's time to go. That's why we're seeing Mark Whitley starting to push forward. We're starting to see the 2. They're going to be 4 wide going into turn number 3, and right there, Montee's able to back out. Luckily, the 5 does. Gives an opportunity. Danny Cochran now going to be moving up to 10th place. And now a reset, a little bit of a breather before he tries to make the surge again. And Zach, 7 laps to go for these drivers. The pressure's on. 6 laps to go. Now, you got to get moving if you want a chance to be up front and possibly win for the 2. And for everyone else, just try to make it into the final 4.
Everybody's having big moments of everything just going through their mind. Their whole season, it's all coming down to these final 6 laps here at Michigan before we head off to Atlanta to decide a champion of our Final 4. We got to figure out who those Final 4 are going to be. It's changing each and every lap. Walter up front defending position is Norris. He's trying to get his first win here in the NAISCC Cup Truck Series. Sorry.
Trying his best to get into victory lane. The 38 going to be on older tires. Here comes GT Irizarry. They're going to be forcing it 3 wide. A little bit of pinching on the inside. Got to be careful. Here comes the 38 in the 41. They're going to beat and bang up to the 00 possibly. You don't want to see these drivers make contact. And for the 00 Ethan Smith, he doesn't have a fast repair. He cannot get contact with anyone else. There goes Norris. He gets spun off the hood of the 41. Yellow flag. That is, with it being 5 to go, Zach, we're going to overtime.
Whoa, Sam, that just changed everything as Christopher Norris just running so well from that 28 starting spot. Gets a little bit of contact between him and GT Irizarry in the 41, and looks like Norris got a little bit loose coming off the corner and came down right in front of that 41 a little bit, as we'll possibly go back there and get a good look at that there. But man, tough break there for Norris, but this just re-racks everything back up to get a little more crazy.
Okay, where do the drivers that are in the playoffs, where do they lie? Well, coming into the night, as we take a look at this replay, you see the 38, he's going to get loose, but gets loose, comes down, and really nowhere to go. Irizarry is just going to be the horn to be spun off of, and I was more so concerned of the 38 coming up and possibly making contact. I know you hate to see a driver get spun out and bring out a yellow like this, but luckily not influencing the playoff drivers. As you see further back, it's the 1 and the 11 just battling it out for who's going to be running last place between those. But where they run now, Ethan Smith came into the night 3rd in points, runs 2nd currently. If he stays where he's at, will make it to the final 4. Vincent Sora, 3rd. Currently on track. If he finishes where he's at, he'll be moving on to our final 4. Drop back to 6. Danny Cochran, 6th place, not good enough currently. Is in a must-win scenario if the drivers are lying where they're at. Mark Whitley in 7th place for the 77, 777. Feeling pretty lucky for himself with the amount of drivers that are on track and getting the bonus point. Mark Whitley is locked in officially to make it to the next race. But then you fall back all the way down to 21st position. That's where you find that of Brandon Colley. Colley needs to have a better run here. Just good enough possibly to move on, but it's not completely secure as the math can still get moved around with Ethan Smith leading or potentially, with that of, Danny Cochran potentially winning. John Forbes in 22nd. Forbes, if he finishes where he's at, he will not be moving on to the next round and race for a championship. The math's still crazy. We know three things for sure here, Zach. Mark Whitley's racing for a championship next week at Atlanta. James Loveland, Sean Hutzstettler, they're not racing for a championship.
Yeah, that is really all we know. There's nothing else that we can tell you for sure with a solid fact yet, because we're going to have a wild restart here. It's going to come down to 1 to 2 positions for that final spot. If Ethan Smith goes and wins, there's so many different opportunities. Danny Cochran, we can't forget he had to take his fast repair. He restarted back in the 20s, man, and he's up to 6th here. You know he's going to be super aggressive. There's going to be moves here that I think we're going to probably say is a little questionable, but when there's stuff like this on the line for these drivers, they're willing to risk everything for their season because they know it all could end with that chance for a championship could end here tonight at Michigan. They want to have that shot next week.
They want the shot. They want an opportunity, but this is when things get to crunch time. We've had 16 races. This is race number 17 to see who's going to race for a championship. And Zach, it is official. We are now in overtime. Drivers are going to have 3 attempts if needed. We are going to be racing it. It is a 2-lap run. If we get to the final lap, the white flag, we then race it to the end. But if a caution flag comes out before we get the white flag, we go into attempt number 2. If the same thing happens in attempt number 2, we go to attempt number 3. And that third attempt, if yellow comes before we get the white flag, that race ends under yellow, which we have seen already this season in this truck series. It happened back at Milwaukee Mile, where we saw Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley kind of just compounding on top of one another, and wrecking for the win was Vincent Sora. But here tonight, it's not just a win, it's to see if you still have a chance to race for a championship, and it's all on the line. Thomas Walter going to take the outside lane here. Ethan Smith in 2nd, Vincent Sora in 3rd, GT Irizarry going to be in 4th place, Danny Cochran going to be in 5th with that of Legrand. We're going to be seeing how these drivers are going to attack it. Our first attempt at overtime for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. And it's the Montee's Genius 150 at the Michigan International Speedway. We started the playoffs with 16 drivers. We then cut it down to 8. And here after tonight's race, we'll be down to our final 4. And we find out who gets it all done. Thomas Walter, Ethan Smith, they're ready. Our first attempt at overtime. And the pace truck is off. And we are green to see who's going to be racing for a championship. Thomas Walter with the better launch. 0-0. He's going to be having Vincent Sora giving him a bump draft going into turn number 1. Zach, if we get the white flag, we get to race to the end. But that's if we get the white flag.
It's the big question, Sam, for sure here is now Vince Sora, big push to the 0-0. This is giving a big momentum shift to those two. Vince Sora, what's he look to make a move here? What is his deal? Does he feel like he's safe here in this position? Does he try to go for the win? Thomas Walter, though, we know how good he is at Michigan. He's going to try to hold him off here for a victory.
It's going to be a lot of bump drafting going on. There goes the 0-0 to the inside, trying to pressure Thomas Walter. Walter, a contact behind. Legrand goes into GT Irizarry, going to be given an opportunity. Danny Cochran now going to be side-by-side for 4th. They're side-by-side for the lead. Ethan Smith keeping it side-by-side, side drafting. They come across the line. We only needed 1 attempt. We're now getting our cosmic candle, white flag. Who's racing for a championship? Danny Cochran needs to win and bump out that of possibly his teammate. And here comes Ethan Smith. If contact gets made, they're 3 wide. These are the 3 drivers trying to figure out who's going to be making it into the final 4. Out of turn 2, Vincent Sora, Ethan Smith, still side by side for 2nd place.
And down into 3 and 4, Walter trying to do everything in his power to hold him off. It's going to be close contact possibly between the 0-0 and the 50 as they come off a 4 here, Sam.
Thomas Walter, he just finds the magic every time. He's one of the most clutch drivers here at Michigan. He wins. Danny Cochran goes spinning across the line. It's Thomas Walter winning again at Michigan. Zach, how does the 57 do it every time here?
Man, I don't know, Sam. He's definitely got something up his sleeve when it comes to this racetrack. And this is going to set up for an interesting points finish. I believe Brandon Colley brought it home 20th, Ethan Smith in 2nd, Vincent Sora's 3rd. Oh man, I don't know how this is gonna play out. We're gonna have to wait for official word on that for sure. We'll see if they can get that to us.
We're going to have all night when we could do our post-race show, when we do our closing, it's going to be unofficial because we are not going to know probably until much later into the night because we still need to know who led the most laps. That's going to be a key factor because whoever led the most laps, that's 3 bonus points that could be getting you to the next round. And Thomas Walter, he's here at Michigan, and once again, I even was talking to Thomas before the race, said, hey, you're going to be a driver to watch out for? And he said, well, it's Michigan. It's one of my best tracks, of course. And he gets it done. He gets to burn it down for the Montee Genius 150. It goes winning. First time this season, Thomas Walter gets to burn it down. We're going to step aside here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. When we come back, it's our post-race show, talking to our top 3, doing the math. Who's moving on to the championship 4? We'll get all those answers when we come back in just a few here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, the final race of the round of 8 to see the 4 drivers are going to be racing for a championship. We had to go into overtime, and Thomas Walter found himself in victory lane, but he certainly had some hungry wolves behind him. We're going to start things off with Vincent Sora, who finished in 3rd place. Get a sense from the 15th point of view of how that race went for himself. Vinny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, you wanted the win. We could tell by the way you were racing 3 wide between 3 drivers that wanted to make it into the final 4 in those final couple of laps. Though, give us your mind going into overtime.
Just don't get wrecked. I knew that I was pretty much in a somewhat safe spot because there's some misfortune with obviously John Forbes and some other guys that I needed to beat tonight. So I knew as long as I kept the truck clean, I should just theoretically make it in. And yeah, I was just making sure I didn't get wrecked. Obviously, I wanted to win, but I'll settle for a P3 and making the final 4 any day.
Hey, Vince, it's also Zach. Everybody, congrats on getting 3rd here tonight, and it seems like making it into that final 4 here from what we've calculated, man. And I tell you what, it's an interesting spot to sit in there. You know, you and your teammate of Danny Cochran there. Do you have that in the back of your mind if he goes out there and wins the race? You know, that could be bad for you with how close it was going to be there in 4th.
Yeah, for sure. I knew that he was going to be a threat, especially if he won the race, because then that would have knocked me out. And I figured that for the majority of the race, just kind of doing the math in my head. So I knew, unfortunately for him, I couldn't afford to see him win the race tonight. And unfortunately he did get in an accident at the end, but yeah, it was tough at the end there.
Vinny, we know that Denny Cochran was one of your drivers that was going to be pressuring you a lot. We knew Mark Whitley was locked in before overtime even started. How are you feeling going in, knowing that you're into our final 4? You're racing for your championship. What pressure are you feeling? Are you feeling pretty relaxed going into Atlanta next week?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I made the final 4 multiple times in plenty of different leagues, and it's something that I've kind of gotten used to now. And just another race really is what I'm going into. Thinking, hoping I can win the championship, obviously, after kind of being the most dominant truck all season, most wins, So, yeah, hopefully I can go out and get the championship next week.
Well, Vinny, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I want to thank everybody in the league. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting because you do a fantastic job. I want to thank my sponsor, McConey Setup Shop, and I want to thank my Category 5 esports teammates, Zach Hall, Larry Yingling, Cedric Hunter, Brian Johnson, Thompson Jack, Brandon Colley, and Nick Crawford.
And that's going to be Vincent Sora in the 15, making the final 4 in racing for a championship next week. Congratulations on a top 3 finish here, Vinny, and good luck next week for the championship.
All right, thank you, guys.
And 2nd place going to be another final 4 finalist after calculating the numbers. Ethan Smith going to be joining us in the booth. Ethan, 2nd place for yourself, but the pressure of having already used your fast repair, we've seen you got knocked around a couple of times, but still able to get 2nd place finish. Man, what relief are you feeling after coming away with 2nd place?
Oh, I am incredibly relieved. After I got in that accident midway through, I was really worried because I was behind the whole pack. I just made sure that the next time I went in the pits, I repaired everything. I only got 2 tires, and it worked out. I was worried for a while, but once I saw the caution at lap 65, I believe it was, I knew that I should be good.
Hey, Ethan, it's also Zach up here, man. Congrats on making it into the final 4, buddy. It's been a great season for you there in the 00 machine with that one victory here coming in tonight, man. You know, it was nerve-wracking coming down to the end there, I'm sure, from the driver's seat. You know, you're right there that close to the victory, and knowing a victory will lock you in. You know, was that the main goal in sight, or did you feel pretty comfortable with the points where they were situated with how scenarios were playing out? I mean, it was a wild night, and there was guys getting taken out left and right.
I was definitely going for the win. I feel like if I could have got past Sora and all I had to worry about was the 57 of Thomas Walter in front of me, I feel like I could have got him because I got to his bumper going into every corner. But when he was next to me, I was just trying to focus on running my line because I knew with where I was going to be safe. And there was plenty of times tonight where I was scared seeing people get a little sideways in front of me or next to me. But I can't complain with a top 3, top 2 finish. I mean, 2nd place, going into the last race is going to be awesome.
Ethan, looking at the drivers that have made the final 4, I mean, you're I mean, I don't want to say that you're the underdog, but you certainly are going to be a driver that, was under the radar for most of the season. Consistency was the reason why I got you, through the playoffs. How are you feeling going into Atlanta next week, having to face these heavy hitters that are also racing for a championship?
I know Atlanta's a tough track, at least racing there in the past. You always burn up your right front. But I think if you can race the track, learn to save some tires. I mean, I'm confident that I can compete, and I think I've been proving that the last half of this season. So I'm ready for it, and I'm ready to compete against the other top three, the other top 4 drivers.
Well, Ethan, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I just want to thank Hot Lap Designs, Danny Cochran for the paint scheme, any friends and family that are watching right now, and any other people that are watching, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and everyone else that comes out every night to race.
That's going to be Ethan Smith in the 00 second place finish here tonight, but is going to be racing for a championship next week. Congratulations on making the Final Four, and good luck at Atlanta.
Thank you.
And also, last person to talk to isn't racing for a championship, was just racing for a win, and he always seems to do it at this track. We bring in from Victory Lane, Thomas Walter. Thomas, you do it again. What about this track just gets you to Victory Lane so often?
I don't know. I didn't really think I was going to make it to win this race. I kind of made a mistake with my steering ratio early in the run. Had it set lower than I wanted to, so I was burning up my tires a lot faster than I thought. But I don't know. There's something about this track that I just love, and I love coming here, and I love racing here. And as you can see, usually I end up front. So um, I'm happy with the win. You know, I told the guys, I said, when Max and I were side by side or back to front there, I said, our job right now, either one of us wins the race, or if we can't win the race, then we got to defend for Brandon. But it sounds like Brandon made it in. But either way, I was going to be defending for my life there, as if I was going to make it to the Final Four. So I'm just stoked. It's been a long time coming for, especially the Truck Series. I know I can get this done in the Cup, but I seem to be a little bit short on the Truck Series. But it's nice to finally close the deal there.
Hey, Thomas, it's also Zach up here. Man, congrats on the win here tonight, man. Great drive there in that final portion of the race to hold off the rest of the drivers out there, man. It was definitely a great one for us to watch up here. But like kind of going to what you said, a long time coming here in the Truck Series, man. The last time we look back, you got second. It was at Rockingham, the second race of the season. You had a few top fives sprinkled in there between, but man, it seemed like a lot of bad luck in this season, and just, how's it feel to come out here in the second to last race, and it's such a big race where everybody's looking to perform their best and get the victory here tonight, man?
You brought up the bad luck, and that's really what I feel like it was. But it was just poor performances on my part during the middle part of the season, and I kind of wish this track was before the final stage, so that way I can make it into maybe the round of 8 or something like that. I know I missed out in the round of 8, but a win's a win. I'll take it either way. If I'm sitting dead last in point standings, or if I'm sitting first in the point standings, let's just put it this way: Vinny and Danny have been winning way too much. The same with Mark up there. Let's put some new faces in Victory Lane, and it's great to see back-to-back new first-time winners here.
Yeah, back-to-back. Dakota Montee is winning last week at Talladega, and Thomas Walter winning here tonight. Thomas, Atlanta's the next race on the list, final race of the season. How are you hoping to cap off this whole entire inaugural season of the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series?
I'm hoping to finish off strong. If I can get a win out there, that'd be great. I know Atlanta isn't one of my strongest tracks. But it is something that I can drive into and whatnot. I know that there's 4 guys out there going to be driving their hearts out for a trophy. So we'll be trying to get up front and race with those guys. But if push comes to shove and I'm in the way, I might just move out of the way and let them race it out. Or if I'm pulling away, which is probably not likely, but we'll just see what happens.
Absolutely. That's going to be Thomas Walter in the 57. And Thomas, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah. Thanks to Funky Techie, North Star Designs, and my company Wingswept. Give a shout out to my wife. She's currently pregnant, sitting in bed, probably not even watching this, but I want to say I love you, and I'll be up soon.
That is Thomas Walter in the 57, winning once again here at Michigan. And what a race it was to win. Congratulations, Thomas, and good luck next week.
All right, thanks, bud.
What a race it was here tonight. And we got to talk to two of our final four. And Zach, I believe you do have the official numbers on who's making it in to race for a championship.
Yes, it is officially in here, Sam. Of course, Mark Whitley, we knew he was locked in there going into that last restart there. He is going to hold on to that first position. Ethan Smith's going to come in there, the second position, 13 behind Mark Whitley. Then followed behind there, it's going to be the one of Brandon Colley there in the third position. And then 1 point behind Brandon Colley, it's going to be Vincent Sora there making it in the 15 machine. So that's going to be our final four. Brandon Colley, Vincent Sora, Ethan Smith, and Mark Whitley. It looks like Danny Cochran and John Forbes are going to be the first two to come up short. And it's going to be by a good portion of, points. But at the same time, we've seen Danny Cochran was right there for the win coming down to it, man. It could have went either way. And that 1 point between Brandon Colley and Vincent Sora there, that could have been a huge story if Danny Cochran would have won, or one of the other playoff drivers.
It would have been a crazy little storybook ending, but crazy to think how close it was for some of these drivers, who was making it in, who was making it out. But before we, call it a wrap, we also got to take a look at what the unofficial results were here tonight, and not coming up, actually. So we're just going to do a quick rundown of where the drivers lied. Thomas Walter going to be in first place with Ethan Smith in second. Vincent Sora gets third. GT Arizar gets fourth. Mark Whitley in fifth, with Aaron Kralik going to be in sixth place. That of Jonathan Smith gets seventh. Danny Cochran eighth. Ninth goes to Cody Reed. And 10th place going to be Max Foner. Zach, I'll let you run down the rest of the top 20, and then I'll finish out the final 8.
Yeah, for sure. They're in the 11th position. It's the 5 of Dakota Moniz after winning last week at Talladega. Almost a close top 10 there for him. 12th is going to go to Cody Dorsey. 13th is going to be Martin Morales Jr. 14th is going to go to Gregory Shaw. Alexander Light's going to bring home the 15th position. 16th is going to go to Trevor Earhart. 17th is Christopher Norris after being involved in a wreck up front there. 18th is going to go to Carl Pooler. 19th is going to be Jesse Thornock. And rounding out the top 20, making it into the final four, it's Brandon Colley.
This is when we start to get to heartbreaks, because you got that Freed. And then in 21st position, 22nd is the 11 of John Forbes, who just could not get enough points for himself to race for a championship. Then we've got Legrand, Halsey, Tom Bourne going to be finishing out your top 25. And then you got Tyler Dangler and Sean Hudstutler going to be our first DNF of the night for that of the 94, who was in a must-win scenario and was not able to finish out the race, as John McAdams did not even take the green. That's going to be your unofficial results of the night. We do know who the final four are, and we'll give kind of our thoughts. Ryan Johnson, you got to sit in, listen to the drivers. You were getting to get their sense of how the night was going down in pit road. But man, we now know our final four. What was some of the talking points, though, that the drivers were thinking coming into that green-white checkered and also coming out?
Well, with Brandon Colley and his situation, having that damaged truck towards the back, he was pretty much just doing damage control. He was worried about making it in, but he also felt relatively comfortable. He wasn't too worried. He knew that if he stayed out of more trouble, that it was likely that he was going to get in. And of course, Danny was in a must-win situation, and we saw him the whole race just slicing and dicing through the field. I mean, he really gave it his all. I was just looking through the fastest lap reports there, and he had the fastest lap of the race by 2/10. So he really gave it his all out there tonight, but unfortunately, just wasn't enough. And then Vincent Sora, roughly halfway through that race, got that luck of the draw for him with John Forbes getting in a couple wrecks there. So he was pretty calm, cool, and collected at the end of that race. So he knew, like he said in the interview, he wanted to win, but he knew he was good. Yeah, so I can't take another race like that. That was I was so anxious the whole time watching these guys side by side doing slide jobs and worrying about the points, and it was crazy. But unfortunately, we have to do that again next week, and maybe not so much unfortunately for our blood pressure, but fortunately for us, entertainment value wise, we get to do this again next week, and it's going to be for a championship.
It is going to be for a championship for sure. But before we leave here tonight at Michigan, Zach, what are some of your final thoughts of this race? And what are your thoughts heading into Atlanta next week?
Oh, damn. I tell you what, man, just like Brian said, I was on the edge of my seat. My anxiety was very high for all these drivers out there. I know exactly what they're going through. I've had that same feeling of you don't really know what's happening. You're trying to calculate points. You're trying to hope that every position matters for your sake, and it comes back working out for a few of the guys, and sometimes it comes back to not work out for you. So unfortunate cases there, as you see for John Forbes, Danny Cochran just coming up a little bit short here tonight, and what a wild race in Michigan. It's just a wild truck race in Michigan, that's for sure. And it just shows you anything is possible here in the playoffs, man. But heading off to Atlanta next week, we got 4 heavy hitters, man. I tell you what, any of the 8 that would have moved on, they would have been a fantastic round of 4. And we got 4 really strong ones there with Mark Whitley, Ethan Smith, Brandon Colley, and Vincent Sora. At Atlanta, it's going to be a different race. That race is going to spread out more. We're going to see a little bit more separation. It's going to come down to a little bit more, I would say, just overall the driver. It's going to really come down to them next week. Who gets it done? Who manages the tires? But one of the key things before we head in there every time is clean air. If you can go out there, get yourself on that pole position starting next week, I think that's going to be a good way to start your championship weekend off. And man, I can't wait, Sam. I always love crowning champions and giving that drivers the feeling. And this is going to be the first one here at this truck series, so it's going to definitely be a special one.
The start of the season was all about expanding from the NAISCC Cup Series and to make this inaugural season, and we now know our Final Four. It has been a spectacular season of highs for some, lows for other, but it has been drama and great storylines all the way through. You look at all the drivers that are here, you think of all the amazing storylines that are going to be made. We've got the 2 rivals, Mark Whitley, Vincent Sora. They're going to be battling for a championship right next to that of Colley and Ethan Smith. It is going to be a fun race to watch. Drama still filled. And tonight, had to go to overtime to figure out who those 4 drivers were going to be. Well, put the calculators away, put the notes, put the points away. They're not needed. Next week, it's all about finishing ahead of the other 3 drivers that are there in the Final Four. Can't wait to cover it. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Zach. And for myself, Sam Dyer, we got one more person who needs to talk before we're done for the night. We throw it over to Robert Moyer Jr. for a final call here at Michigan.
All right. Well, man, I don't know what to make of the final call here with these guys here, man. That was something else. Wow. What racing here at Michigan always puts on a great show here. And again, like you guys said, we had some highs, we had some lows through the season. We had a hard battling. We made it in the top 10 of iRacing back in October, I do believe that was, here at this league at Texas. So this has been something else all season. 17 weeks in the books, 1 week to go. And like you said, our top 4 runners, man, it's going to be something else to see what they do at Atlanta, because Atlanta is one of them tracks that can be very, very fun to race, but also can be very, very frustrating if you don't know how to get around there. It's going to be slip. It's going to be sliding. It's just going to be something. And, they call it the hot Atlanta for a reason. So we'll have to see what kind of temperatures that these guys are going to be dealing with next week too. So hopefully everybody enjoyed tonight's content here. And I hope everybody really did like it. And if you did, don't forget to hit that like button and share button. We do much appreciate it. Share it to your favorite social media platforms of your choosing here, out in the social media or the interwebs, wherever you want to share it. We do much appreciate that. But from Michigan, we want to say here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as always, from Sam Dyer, Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.